Imagine I offered you a game. If the coin lands on heads, you win £100. If it lands on tails, you lose £40. Would you play? Most people immediately start thinking, hang on, I could lose £40 here. Or perhaps, I wonder if it'll land on heads. But interestingly, neither of those is actually the right question. Today, I want to show you the question you should be asking instead. How should we judge risky decisions? The answer is something called expected value. Now, I know what you're thinking. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually incredibly simple. Instead of asking, will I win? We ask, if I made this decision again and again, what would I expect to happen on average? That small change completely changes how we think about risk. When we're faced with uncertainty, our brain naturally focuses on the outcome. Winning feels exciting. Losing feels painful. But expected value ignores emotion for a moment. Instead, it asks us whether the decision itself is a good one, because a good decision can still produce a bad outcome. And a bad decision can sometimes get lucky and produce a good outcome. That's a really important distinction. So let's test this idea. Let's go back to the coin. There are only two possibilities. Half the time I will win £100. Half the time I will lose £40. Expected value simply asks us to average those probabilities. 50% of the time of £100 is £50. 50% of the time losing £40 is minus £20. Together, that's a positive expected value of plus 50 minus 20, which is £30. The coin hasn't changed, the probabilities haven't changed. Only the question changed. Instead of asking, will I win? We're asking, what would happen if I played this game 100 times? Now, this is all good in theory, but who actually thinks this way? This is exactly how casinos think. They don't know who's going to win tonight. They don't need to. They know that in every game, they have a tiny mathematical advantage. One player might get lucky. 10 players might get lucky and win jackpots. But over thousands or even millions of games, that tiny edge becomes incredibly reliable. Casinos don't gamble, they sell gambling. So where else does this matter? Well, expected value appears everywhere, from insurance companies to investment decisions, businesses, or even deciding whether something is worth your time. The people making these decisions aren't trying to predict exactly what will happen. They're trying to make decisions that are profitable on average. But there's one important catch. This is probably the hardest part to accept. Good decisions don't guarantee good outcomes. You can make the correct decision and still lose. Likewise, someone can make a terrible decision and get lucky. That's why we should judge decisions by the information available at the time, not just by what happened afterwards. Expected value doesn't promise certainty. It gives you a better way to think. Whenever you're making a decision under uncertainty, don't ask whether this one attempt will succeed. Ask whether it's the kind of decision that would succeed over the long run. That is expected value. Expected value helps us judge decisions. But there's another trap. Sometimes we only notice the people who succeed and completely ignore everyone else. That is called survivorship bias, and it's one of the easiest ways to draw the wrong conclusion from good results. I'll see you in that video.